Cancer and Comedy, where our mission is to heal cancer-impacted people through hope and humor, something we like to call turning the grim into a grin. Well, today on Cancer and Comedy, we're going to be talking with speaker, therapist, humorist, and a recent member of the Coping with Cancer Club, Mallori DeSalle's. Now, here is the host of Cancer and Comedy, Dr. Brad Miller.
Hey, Deb. What an honor and a privilege to be with you and all of our lifter-uppers here on Cancer and Comedy. This is the place where we like to offer a bit of information and inspiration and a few laughs and levity to help people to cope with hope with cancer or other bad adversities that they have in their life. And we kind of use cancer not only to deal with the actual literal cancer that you and I are survivors of. You're a breast cancer survivor. I'm a prostate cancer survivor. But we also help people deal with other adversities in life, be it kind of a depression or divorce, disease, debt, death in the family, other things like that, and to deal with it from a little bit of a positive perspective. And so we like to call this helping to turn the grim of your adversity into the grin of a fulfilled life that you can live fulfilled to the end, to have a fulfilled good life to the end. And we really like to develop a community here. That's what we've been doing for a couple of years together. We've been doing our podcast, a community where people can be helpful to one another. And we love it when people reach out and contact us and we can be helpful to them and be part of a community that we work on together. And you do that simply by going to our website, cancerandcomedy.com/follow. Well, Deb, one of the things we like to do is to tell dumb dad jokes. And so we are now, we're recording this in December, so it's Christmas time. So I thought I'd try to find a way to combine Christmas with health and even with mental health with some dumb jokes. This is a little tricky, but are you ready? Are you ready? Are you?
I eagerly await this
There
after
you,
that lead up.
there you go. Here's one. Why doesn't Santa ever get sick?
I don't know.
He has lots of elf care. Lots of elf care.
Cute.
And here's another one for you. Why did the ornament go to therapy?
I don't know.
He just had trouble hanging on.
Oh. Well, folks, as I groan at those, if you are a longtime listener, you know that following our conversation with Mallori, we will have, another one of Dr. Brad's bad jokes of the day. But then, of course, we turn serious for our very important Faith It or Break It segment. Well, as mentioned, we would love for you to be part of the Cancer and Comedy community, where together we crush cancer with a message of how to cope with hope and humor. Please follow Cancer and Comedy at cancerandcomedy.com/follow.
Well, Deb, one of the joys and privileges that you and I both have in doing the Cancer and Comedy podcast and being in a circle of people who are choosing to face life's challenges with some levity is to get in contact with people who really have something to offer, but who are also going through some difficult times in their life and choose to deal with it through choosing hope and choosing some laughter in their life, even in the midst of some difficult circumstances. And recently I was introduced to a woman named Mallori DeSalle's, and she and I both have the cool honor distinction. We both are Indiana University football fans, and we are now the number one ranked team in the country and going into the playoffs. So that's cool. But
Rub
moreover,
it in.
there you go. And so we are really happy about that. But she also, we've got to know her a little bit. She is a therapist herself, a mental health counselor, a licensed mental health counselor, a motivational interviewing trainer, and a certified humor professional. And her name is Mallori DeSalle's, and she owns her own business and is on the faculty within the School of Public Health at Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana. And her credentials don't impress her family, but occasionally her corner jokes do make them laugh. And she's also a recent member of the Coping with Cancer Club. And you can find her at her website, which is MalloriDeSalles.com. And that's spelled MalloriDeSalleE.com. com, and she's our guest here today on Cancer and Comedy. So, Mallory, welcome to our conversation. We're so glad to have you with us.
Yay!
Thank you so much. Now I have all the stocking stuffers I need, Brad, thanks to those jokes you just gave me. Thank you.
There you
Well,
Stack
go.
and
those
there will be
away.
another one. There will be one more. So
Okay, good.
Okay.
Good. One for each of my kids. Good. Thank you.
that's it. That's it.
Well, Mallory, thank you for being with us here today. We really, really, really appreciate you being with us. And, give us, Deb's going to take over the story for the most part here, but just to say that you are an accomplished person in your own right as a professor, as a therapist, as a humorist, a stand-up comedian. But recently, and unfortunately, but you're handling it in such a way you're in the coping with cancer club. And so, Deb, I'm going to let you take it from there.
Well, again, Mallory, thank you so much. We're going to have such a fun discussion. And that's the key, right? We have to have fun with this. Earlier today, somebody told me, that I always laugh about all of this. And I said, well, if we didn't laugh, we would cry. And I think that's a big part of why humor is so important. But you were a comedian before your cancer diagnosis. So tell us a little bit more about how it is that you got into doing that.
Yeah, thanks for asking, Deb. I think naturally I have been a performer my whole life, whether it was on stage in church or singing or a part of the community theater. Shout out to Mr. Sedavi, my high school drama coach. And I thought humor was something you did as a kid, but then I put it away for a while I became this really serious professional.
Yeah, you're a
And
therapist. You must be professional.
that's right.
Mhm.
That's right. I had to be super serious, super, wear suits and ties and hold myself together. And it seemed like no one took me seriously at all. And I didn't get it. I had no, like, what's going on here? And then I started getting a little silly and letting my authentic humor come out. And someone said, have you ever tried stand up? And of course, I thought, no, 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 I can't do that. I got to be really serious. But then I did, and I found myself again. And once I started showing up in the serious world as my more authentic, silly self,
Mhm.
the world started to take me more seriously, and I started to feel more at home on stage. And humor became more of an honest way of being myself as opposed to a performance for the audience. It was for me. And it has really helped me get through some tough times. So it's become more of a self help as
Mhm.
opposed to entertainment.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. I love it. I love it. And one of the things, and I was just fascinated with this, is you are an Oreo sommelier. And I know I say that different, but so you are an Oreo expert, like the Oreo cookie. Tell us more about that, because that is just one of the silliest things I've ever heard of.
Yeah, I like to brag. That's like one of the things that I tell people. If I'm not connecting with someone, I'll say, how many types of Oreos have you tried? And
Mhm.
they'll say, I don't know, is there more than one? And I say, well, I've tried about
What, double
150.
stuff or those thin? What?
Right.
Now, why would you buy an Oreo that has the thin frosting? Right? No.
Listen, I do it because that way I feel like I'm exercising. It's like a
Okay.
diet cookie, feeling like making healthy choices when I get the thin
Mhm,
kind.
mhm,
But yeah, I call myself a sommelier, an Oreo sommelier, because sometimes I spit them out, Deb. Sometimes they are not worth the calories. But I've tried
mhm,
flavors from across the world, about 150 flavors.
mhm.
Most recently, this last week, I tried Oreo's turkey and stuffing flavored
No.
Oreo. Hmm
Did you spit
Yeah,
them out?
no,
You
it's
spit 'em
great.
out, yeah. Mhm, mhm.
And the creamed corn Oreo.
No,
Hmm
no, no.
Hard pass for you, huh? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm telling you,
I'm an
Oreos are so
Oreo
fun.
purist. I want just the white sticky frosting.
Yeah. But are you a dipper or a twister? This can
Twister,
get
twister, and and
okay.
and of course you have to twist it so that it comes off, in one piece, right? Then you're a true twister.
Yeah, that's right. So you might have your technique down pat then,
Mhm.
because it tells me a lot about a person if you keep twisting till you
Right.
get it just
Mhm,
right. Yeah, it's a personality test for
mhm.
you.
Well,
Yeah,
and one of the things that I saw on your Facebook page, because we're now Facebook friends,
yeah.
is some of your friends found a great way to support you on your cancer journey by personalizing Oreos, and I just thought that was the coolest thing.
Yeah, I'm telling you what, you don't know that a person knows you till they get an Oreo cookie with your face on it.
Mhm,
They're
mhm,
like, you know what'll cheer
right?
Mallory up? Eating a cookie with
Mhm,
her own face on
mhm,
it.
mhm. And
Yeah, and
that sounds a little weird. Mm.
it was like, is this like like should I be eating my own face? Is this a
Yeah.
little and then my kid said, "Hey mom, why don't you donate those cookies to the bake sale?" And I thought, is that even weirder to be like, here,
Yeah,
buy a cookie to
little
me?
kids going, "Isn't this, your son's mom?" Mhm,
Yeah. Well, I feel like I've been raised to like deity status. Like, who do you buy
yes.
cookies of? Santa Claus
Mhm,
and
mhm,
Mallory,
mhm, mhm.
obviously. I mean, these
I
are
love
like the
it.
next
I love it.
level.
Mhm, mhm,
This. I, I, I mean, I feel pretty fancy, but yeah, I
mhm,
was diagnosed with cancer in October,
mhm.
and I had my bilateral mastectomy about 3 weeks ago,
Wow.
and so I'm really still in the depths of healing, but
Mhm.
I'm finding Oreos are really helpful through the
Right.
process.
And one of the things that they say is, "Ew, sugar feeds cancer." No. We still have to indulge. We still now, rather than eating the entire sleeve of cookies, one or two. That's the thing.
Yeah, and as a sommelier,
Mhm. It
I
is your
I
job.
taste. I
Mhm.
taste. I really try and spend time mindfully
Mhm.
suggesting what the flavors are, like smelling it, like
Mhm.
creamed corn, for instance, Deb. And I really did have a creamed corn Oreo. I smelled that,
Mhm.
and it smelled exactly the way, when you start
Mhm.
cracking the can
Right.
on
Yeah.
creamed corn
Mhm.
before
Mhm.
you make like
Mhm.
creamed corn casserole or something.
Mhm.
You can
Mhm.
you can smell it just as
Right.
soon as you crack
Mhm.
it. And
Mhm.
that's the way that Oreo smelled, and I could taste
Interesting.
like
Mhm.
cream
Mhm.
cheese in that situation.
Mhm.
But you know what? I don't eat more than that one bite.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, and even if it was good, you still wouldn't overindulge. Um, but let's talk more about your journey. I mean, you're doing amazingly well for just having your surgery. How were you? Because now you are a youngster, especially compared to me. I was diagnosed in my 50s. How were you? What was the process where you discovered that you had this nasty thing going on?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for calling me young. That is amazing. You can stay. Uh, I am I'm 47. I had my mastectomy 1 week before my 47th birthday. So I was 46 when diagnosed, and I went in for my annual mammogram. Ladies, go get a mammogram.
Yes,
Just do yourself a
go do
favor.
that. Hmm.
Just go do it. And I have had my mammograms every year since 40. So I am the girl that makes the dental appointment every 6 months, get my primary care appointments every year. I I am the preventative medicine friend.
Mhm,
So leading up to this year's mammogram, I had no indication of any increased risk.
mhm,
And I got my letter in the mail every year and just was like, okay, I did it. Check.
mhm,
This year, after I got my letter, which is how I get my results, some people get
mhm,
phone calls.
mhm,
My letter said a small increase of calcification was
mhm.
noted. You may want to get a repeat mammogram.
Right. So nothing
Okay,
too stressful. Mhm,
no. And I called my mom and I said, Mom, did you ever have this done? And she said, No. And I don't, but I have these, you know, lumpy breasts, is what my
mhm,
mom called. And I was like,
mhm.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thanks,
that
mom. Mhm.
overshare. Yeah. I was like, I don't want to be this close anymore. Okay. Um, and then I told my massage therapist and she said, Oh yeah, I've had that done. That's no big deal. And I said to someone else, Oh, I'm doing this. And so every indication that this is common. And I did learn that many women have this, and it really
Yes,
isn't an indication of cancer.
right.
It's not.
It's an indication that we're getting older.
It's true. It happens with aging. And I was like,
Mhm,
thanks a lot. I
mhm,
also got, progressive lenses this year. So I
mhm,
get it. Hey,
mhm. Yeah,
Deb
yeah.
says I'm young though, people.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
this is confusing. So I went in for my repeat mammogram without really feeling any concern. And I was actually finding it to be an exercise in just kind of patience.
Mhm,
And my experience in the follow-up mammogram was one of my favorite female medicine moments, Deb, because I went in, they called me back, and they said, "Okay, now put on this half gown and then wait out here." And so I'm wearing this maroon half gown, and I sit in a second waiting room, and there's another
mhm,
woman in there with the
mhm.
same maroon half gown
Yes, just
on,
styling. Mhm.
just hanging out. And I look at her and I go, "Where'd you get your shirt?" She looks at me like, "What are you?" And then she realizes
We're
I'm wearing red
twinning.
clothes. Yeah, and
Mhm.
she goes, "Oh, it must have been a good sale." And I was
Uh-huh.
like, "I think so." And
Yes. Mhm.
so we both laugh, and then this other woman comes in, and then the woman I said it to looks at her and goes, "I like your shirt." And so we're all laughing, we're
Yeah.
laughing,
Mhm. Mhm.
and the nurse comes in and she goes, "What's going on in here? You guys are having
Yes.
too good of a time."
Mhm. Mhm.
Said nothing, we're just amazed how well dressed we all are, and so we just start laughing, and it was this moment of,
Mhm. Right.
we're all
Right.
here for something
Mhm.
scary,
Mhm.
seemingly so.
Mhm.
We don't wanna say we're scared, but the
Mhm.
fact that we're all sitting here, you
Mhm.
know, in a
Mhm.
private waiting room,
Mhm.
we're anxious, and laughter helped,
Mhm.
and then, of course, I go and I get the regular mammogram, and they asked me to sit and wait again. And so I carry on with laughing with
Mhm.
these ladies. I
Right.
have never been asked to wait before. And
Right.
that was my first nervous
Yeah.
moment.
They were reading it while you were still there.
Yeah, I wasn't going to wait for a
Mhm.
letter. And
Mhm.
that was an increased
Mhm.
anxiety. And they pulled me back and they said, "Gosh, we see something that we'd like to have biopsied."
Mhm.
And they brought in another nurse to help me make that appointment right then.
Mhm.
And it was someone I knew from my community. It was a
Mhm.
parent of
Mhm.
a child in my own child's grade.
Mhm.
And she said, "This might be uncomfortable that I'm here. Do you want a different nurse?" And I said,
Mhm.
"Actually, no. The fact that you're going to be a part of this gives me
Mhm.
comfort."
Right.
And
Right. Mhm.
she walked through the biopsy process. I got the biopsy.
Mhm.
She was with me that whole time.
Mhm.
That was about a week
Mhm.
later. 2 days after the biopsy, they told me it was, in fact, ductal carcinoma.
Mhm.
And that same day of my diagnosis, they had me scheduled with a surgeon, within
Wow.
3 days with a plastic surgeon. And within 3 days of that, I got my genetic test back and I was scheduled for my mastectomy. So for me, the process was very smooth, very comfortable, if you can call it that. I
Mhm.
didn't have a ton of time to have anxiety, but I started applying humor right away
Mhm.
because I felt myself feeling scared and anxious just from even the get go of you might need
Mhm.
follow up.
Mhm. Right. Well, and of course, we know that laughing has physical changes, causes physical changes in our body. The strange thing is it decreases our blood pressure, right? You'd think it would raise it. But, there are certain chemicals in our body that helps and all of those things. And and I always feel, and I've been on this journey just a little over 10 years. I always like to make the medical staff laugh, right? I figure if they're relaxed and calm, it's going to be better for me. Yeah, and so we laugh, we joke. Now there was one time where I got a little too carried away and boop, I was out just like that. He was tired of me. um but I had another one where it was actually almost a year ago. I had my port removed after 9 years.
Ooh,
And And oh yeah, it was very entertaining. And it's December, right? And so they've covered my head up so that I can't see what's going on, which was a good thing. And the Charlie Brown, they're playing music, right? Christmas music, because it's December. And the Charlie Brown theme song comes on, the da 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 da, right? And so from under my drape, and they had told me, do not move. Now, telling me to not move is, yeah. And so I was trying my hardest to not fit, right? And and so I hear Charlie Brown come on, and what do? Everybody dance, and so I can move my feet, and and I can't see, I can't tell what's going on, and so I say, "Excuse me, are you dancing? Are you dancing?" And I heard some kind of giggles, like, "Oh." And so when we were done and they took the drape off and I was talking to the doctor, I apologized. I said, "I'm sorry. I get carried away." And he looks at me and he said, "Best patient I've had all week." He said, "I love the fact that you were more concerned about making us laugh than what you were going through." And I think part of that is I trusted them, right?
Yep.
But yeah, making them laugh, was relaxing to them also.
Yeah, one of the things that I have often said is laughter is a measurement of trust
Mhm.
and a modality to
Mhm.
build
Right.
trust.
Mhm.
And it is that oxytocin
Mhm.
effect
Mhm.
that happens that if you are staying in the present moment and connecting through that laughter,
Mhm.
all of a sudden there's community. They
Mhm.
will never again have that exact experience. And
Right.
because you shared
Mhm.
that, you
Mhm.
have a unique
Mhm.
connection and bond. And I I think that that is also something that I try and do at all times when I'm thinking about, okay, I'm hurting, but the people around me, they're hurting too. And certainly as a helping professional, but just as an empath, it seems like you're an empath too. We want people to feel safe and comfortable. And I remember my kids walked in to the post surgery room. They had, first of all, they asked if they could skip school for my surgery. And I said,
We're
"No."
digging this. Mhm.
Yeah, they're like, "Well, do you need us there?" And I was like, "My
Yeah.
surgery is
Mhm.
at 8 AM. No, you do not
Yeah.
need to skip. No,
Mhm.
you go to school, kids."
Mhm.
Savvy. Uh, and so they came and they had a gift for me. They had a cute stuffed animal and some flowers and some socks. And I said, "Oh, thank God you bought me socks because the nurses told me my feet were fat." They they said they said, "What?" And
Mhm.
the fact of the matter was, Deb, is that they put extra large socks on everyone, okay?
Yeah.
Like, it is
And they've
this
got the tread on them so
yeah,
that you don't
they got
fall
the
down,
tread on,
but the
and
tread is always on the top of your foot and
and
the slicky part is
well,
still on the bottom. Mhm.
and my feet are
Mhm.
literally for like the size of Cabbage Patch Kid feet. I have the smallest feet. I still shop in children's section.
Mhm.
And I was like, they clearly think I have fat feet because they gave me extra large socks. My feet don't fit and I'm feeling so uncomfortable. And my kids are like, is, is this the drugs? Like, what is happening?
Or mom's at it again.
Yeah, here we go. All right.
Mhm.
So of course they thought, okay, and they tried to make TikToks with me in the recovery room, and I said, no, no, like no TikToks now, kids.
No,
But
no.
yeah, I was trying to make jokes just to let them know I'm fine, it's
Right.
fine.
Right.
But
So
yeah,
how is it? You have young kids and this is scary. Do you obviously use humor to try and lighten the load for them, but how do when the time comes to be serious, kind of how do you have those conversations?
yeah, it's a great question, and I think as a humor professional, I have to ask myself that question a lot, whether it's at work or with friends, with my kids. How much risk is
Mhm.
there for the reward?
Mhm.
And I do want them to know what is serious versus is
Mhm.
what is taking ourselves too serious. So when I was going to have the biopsy, I did say, I'm going to have a biopsy. Chances are there's nothing wrong. Just so you know, I'll still make dinner. and so that's serious, relaxing. In fact, they took it so much like they didn't care that I was like, hey, I'm having my biopsy today. And they're like, oh, you already told us.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, my bad. And so I think I reassured them too much. This ain't no thing. And then when I can be a little bit more flexible, like with my mom and dad were at the house after my surgery, and my kids were sitting around with me. And I have the kind of I chose to go with a two-step reconstruction,
Okay.
meaning I have expanders in my chest that are
Mm-hmm.
slowly being filled so
Mm-hmm.
that once I have the size of breast that I feel comfortable with, I can have them made into permanent
Right.
breasts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the
So,
skin is
and the
stretching.
skin
What's going on?
is
Yes.
stretched, and
Mm-hmm.
so it'll sit like this for about 3 months before I have implants put in
Mm-hmm.
place. But everyone seems to be curious, you know, how
I
are you
always
going to choose
touch.
the
It's the
size? And
weirdest thing. Can we touch
I
it?
know. I'm
No.
like, well, I say like, well, have you touched a Tupperware bowl? Because that's what it feels
Uh-huh.
like. Only a
Mm-hmm.
little warmer, but it just feels like Tupperware.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mom and dad are sitting in the living room, and I'm sitting next to my daughter, and my mom says, "So, have you decided what breast size you're going to get?"
Are you gonna get bigger?
I
That's
know.
always.
It's like, when did this
Sorry,
become
Brad.
a comfortable conversation? I can't say to a 12-year-old, like, so honey,
Mm-hmm.
when
Mm-hmm.
this whole, hormonal thing happens,
Mm-hmm.
have you
Mm-hmm.
decided? No. So I said to my mom, "Well, mom, you've had bigger boobs."
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, "Well," she shakes her head and she goes, "I have bigger boob." And I said, "What?" And I started laughing because she
Mm-hmm.
went from, plural to singular.
Yes.
And I'm laughing, and my daughter's laughing, and she's just so embarrassed. She just heard her grandmother say the word boob, which
Yes.
of course is a little unusual. We have a very Christian home,
Yeah.
and
But all of a sudden everybody's 12 and you're giggling. Mm-hmm.
right, and we're just like, Grandma just said, like 8008.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and and so and then my mom says, "Well, one of my breasts is larger than the other, so I only have big boob." So I thought, okay, well, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, like
TMI, TMI, mom.
I said,
Yeah.
no, I will be trying to look for some sense of equal
Yes.
equal size,
Mm-hmm.
but what the size won't matter. I said, I'm just want to trying to go back to the way I was before.
Right. Right.
But that's when you can be a little bit sillier.
Right.
And I'm letting everyone in the room know, parent to grandchild, know that I can be silly about it
Mm-hmm.
because uh, there's no risk. There's
Right.
no risk really with that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's about me. I'm not joking about them. I'm not joking about
Right.
my
Mm-hmm.
mother's
Yes.
chest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm letting her own that joke.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really what I'm learning about comedy and cancer, and comedy and any hardship
Mm-hmm.
is whoever's hardship it is, they
Mm-hmm.
get to crack the joke.
Right. Yeah. It gets weird when we're talking about the fat kid or, whatever. It's like, nah, let's just not go there. Because then it gets tacky and nasty
Yeah,
in a lot of
it's
cases.
judgment. It's judgment, and it is evaluating what is funny and not, when it's
Mhm.
really not our pain to turn into pleasure.
Right.
And in my case, the times I laugh the most is when I can take my own hardship and turn it into humor.
Yes. Oh,
And
yeah.
that's just it. So if I'm taking someone else's hardship, it never is as funny, and then it
Mhm.
ends up just being cruel, and that goes against my value.
Right. So, when I'm assuming you're kind of taking a bit of a break from the stage, just while you're healing. But when you're back performing again, is this all going to be incorporated in your acts?
Yeah, so I'm doing a lot of improv as opposed to stand up these days. So you never know how it'll come out, but I
Mhm.
do have some new pieces,
Mhm.
especially around my first surgeon said to me, "Mallory, don't worry, you have the best kind of cancer. In fact, if my wife had cancer, I'd want her to have this one."
Yeah. Really?
I, I
Mhm.
started laughing and I said, "You don't like your wife very much." is ridiculous.
Mhm.
And then, so I'm sure there's a bit there to work with. And then I also was told, because I have, I'm biomarker positive, which
Mhm.
means I can't take hormone replacement.
Right.
Um, so I gotta like just,
Mhm.
really just handle menopause like a woman.
Mhm.
And so I gave away my testosterone lotion to a friend. It was like, and here you go. And
Yes, you may have this. Yes.
you may have it.
Mhm.
And so I was feeling really sad that I don't get my testosterone lotion because it helps me remember things better and I have
Mhm.
more energy.
Mhm.
And then I consulted with an oncologist and he said, actually, Mallory, you can have your testosterone back. And I said, oh, thank God, thank God. So I said to my friend, hey, can you
Yeah,
bring
give it
it
back.
back to me? Yeah, can I have it back? And she's been over to my house every day and she never remembers it.
Hmm.
So she's
I think you're
clearly
gonna
not
have to buy
using it.
more. Yep. Yep. She's decided she likes it.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I think she's not even using it because if she used it, she wouldn't be forgetting it.
This is true. Well, yeah. Selective memory, I
Like,
think, is what's going on.
I don't know,
Right.
but there's something in that the testosterone helps us remember it and she
Mhm.
keeps forgetting. But there's definitely some jokes in here and I think I will find it for sure. And I'm
Right.
glad to have something to laugh about for sure.
Right. Right. Yeah, and it is, it's so important to find those times to laugh. I have prosthetics, and I don't wear them terribly often. They're not comfortable, but they are, of course, named Lucy and Ethel. They have to be Lucy and Ethel, right? And people will say, Lucy, Ethel? And I'm like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and then I do have another pair. I just don't like them. Thelma and Louise. And then I ran
Oh,
out of two female names, right? It was like I could have Thelma and Louise and Lucy and Ethel, and then I couldn't think of any other, female names. But yeah,
I
it's
just, I just want
and
to,
the
I just want to ask a question here, Deb. You didn't throw Thelma and Louise off a cliff somewhere, did you? I just want to make sure you
no,
didn't do.
no, yeah, they're in my dress.
I,
And they're the ones that look most real. And so
I thought,
invariably in October, somebody will post on Facebook and tell me, they will tag me, don't forget to have your girls checked, right?
yeah, there
And
you
and I had one person one time who said it numerous times. And I finally took a picture of Lucy and Ethel on the counter, right? And I said, now what do I do?
go. Oh my. Well, I just kind of wanted to ask a question here if I could interject this, but I know one thing that uh, I'm just really enjoying the conversation here that Deb, you and Mallory are having. But I also know that Mallory, you've mentioned one of our other conversations that we kind of have a perfect storm of a lot of things going on, and you kind of mentioned about your kids dealing with it and how they're dealing with things, and you mentioned your mother as well about how kind of part of that dynamic of how you navigate that. But you're going through some other stuff in your life, and everybody's going through a lot of stuff in life, and you add on
mhm.
cancer or whatever it is to it, and it just can massively complicate things. And so, just go as deep as you want to, but give us a little idea of some of the perfect storm that you're dealing with, and maybe some tips out of that can maybe help others to cope with it a little bit, because we all are going through our own form of a perfect storm.
Yeah. So, what you're referencing, I believe, Brad, is I'm also currently going through divorce. I've been married for 22 years with my husband for almost 25 years. And so our marriage can drink, and I think it's been drinking a little too much. And so we've decided to part ways, and he's a wonderful man, and a great father. And at the same time, it is pretty difficult to go through divorce while also having cancer treatment. And because you can't really heal from divorce while you're busy healing,
Right. Mhm.
it's difficult.
Mhm.
And so there's that. And I will say, perhaps the most dramatic thing going on besides healing from cancer while divorcing and living in the same house is that recently our cat got fleas.
Hmm.
And I
Oh,
and
poor
I'm telling
kitty.
you, I know, but here's the problem. I was the only person that kept getting itch from the fleas. And people thought I was making it up, you guys. They thought I was making it up. Like I was like itching. I'm like, y'all, I have fleas.
Well, she
I have
shared.
fleas.
How
And
special that she shared.
and they were all like, well, bless your heart, honey. You just went through
Oh,
something
forget it.
big. Your
Mhm.
poor body is no, honey. You just had some incisions. Are you on hydrocodone? Is that what's
Yeah,
happening?
that's it.
Are you just
Might want
itching
to
bad?
dial back
I was
those
like,
pain meds.
look at my legs. My legs are bitten up, and no one else was getting bit. I'm not kidding. No one else. The cat's like, why am I locked away? Mommy, let go.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I said, please, somebody bathe the cat. Get the cat flea. No one else is itching. Days go by, weeks go by. I tell my therapist I'm itching. She's like, I bet you are.
Yes, it's in here. Uh-huh.
It's like, sure, you got fleas. I believe that you believe that, Mallory.
Mhm.
And then finally, I ordered on Amazon because, of course, I'm not driving. I ordered on Amazon these flea traps
Mhm.
and I put them in the cat's room. I put them in the dining room. I put them in the basement where I am and in my bedroom. And sure enough, only my bedroom and the basement where
Mhm.
I stay
Mhm.
had freaking fleas and nowhere else. And
Mhm.
so that is the perfect storm
Mhm.
because not
Right.
only did I literally have fleas,
Mhm.
but no one believed me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and sometimes that's what puts you over the edge, right?
Oh, oh,
Something that is silly
yeah,
and stupid, and you're like, I have blankety blankety blank
yeah,
fleas.
yeah.
Seriously.
No, they're like, how are the drains? How are the
Mhm.
expanders? I don't care. I have fleas.
Yeah,
Just thanks for
they're
telling me.
fine.
I'll handle radiation. I'll take
Mhm.
tamoxifen. Get
Mhm.
rid of these fleas. These fleas
Mhm.
are driving me bonkers.
Mhm. Mhm.
So if I have any advice for people getting a mastectomy, if you would like to reduce your discomfort with drains and
Mhm.
with spacers, just give yourself fleas.
Right.
You won't think
Give
about
your
it at
mind something
all.
else to focus on. Mhm.
Oh
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
You will be so.
Mhm.
Deb, I was painting myself with nail polish because as a
Mhm.
kid, that's what my mom used to do.
Yep.
I was like
Uh-huh.
like a cheetah
Mhm.
Yeah.
pattern leg.
Mhm.
I tell you what, I was something kind of special, and I don't even know if I really had cancer. I do know I had fleas. I never
Mhm.
saw the cancer. I've seen the fleas.
Yep.
Just
Oh,
saying.
yeah. Oh, yeah. And the funny thing is the fleas might have actually been drawn to you by, some of the drugs and things, but I don't get mosquito bites anymore. I My husband gets gnawed on, gets these huge welts, all of these various I get nothing. And I've decided it's because the mosquito goes, "Oh my god, she's toxic." Blah.
I think the fleas were in it for the Dilaudid.
Yes. Yes, that was it.
That's it.
They were after
They
the pain meds.
like,
Mhm.
"Mm,
You were
this
making happy fleas. The
they were
fleas were
like,
totally going,
so
"Do
this
you
is
need this?
amazing.
Do
This
you
chick is
need
really fly. Yeah,
Mhm.
Well,
she can
that is
party, man. I
that
tell
is
you what.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I think all of this is kind of what I'm managing all at
Mhm.
once.
Mhm.
And you're right though, Brad. There is no good time to go through a bad time.
right,
We never
right.
make time. It's like the plumbing exercise. You don't have time to wait for a plumber if you have a slow leak. But if your basement floods, all of a sudden you cancel everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that the more I share about what I'm going through and the hard time, the more
Mhm.
comfortable people feel sharing with
Right,
me about their
right.
hard times,
Yeah.
and we can
Or
normalize it.
asking, yeah. Mhm.
Yep.
Well, I think a part
Yeah.
of what we like to talk about here, Deb and I talk about with all of our guests and in our conversations we have is how uh, humor it doesn't make things go away, but it helps you to cope with it in a different way because we do know that there are things in our world right now where loneliness and isolationism and going down, the doom scroll that people can go through, and going to Dr. Google to get all your information can actually send you in a spiraling to a
Mhm.
place that's not good, not healthy.
Yeah.
And if we can find some way, both personally in our own right in our own psyche, our own mind, in our relationships with those people closest to us, and in how we relate to others to help ourselves to cope with it in some sort of a way that lightens the load a little bit and is helpful to others. I think, that's kind of the purpose of what we have this podcast about. And I think you've shared with us here. I mean, I personally, and Deb, I think you'll agree with this, I find it absolutely amazing and impressive that you're talking to anybody 3 or 4 weeks out of surgery.
I know, and it's
And
major surgery.
and
Major
and
surgery.
and I and I
Yeah.
know what
Yeah.
you know I had my prostate removed. It was my surgery, and that put me on the shelf for a long time, both physically and psychologically and all kinds of other ways. And so I know that. So I just say how impressed I am with that. But here's why I kind of want to bring us around to this. And Deb, you can jump in here too about this. Uh, there's a certain level of absurdity to all this thing that we're going through, and what kind of things are you learning about yourself or about what you're going through that just might be helpful to someone else who's in that tipping point or a leverage point between going down the doom scroll area or finding some way to be able to deal with the kids going to school and mom with one boob and all the whole steel thing going on in your marital situations and medical stuff. Uh, it's easy to go down. You haven't gone down, and you may have we all have our moments. So, we have our tear moments and our laughter moments. But what are some thoughts you might have to someone who's on that edge right now? And
On
Deb,
the
you can jump in
edge.
here too. But I don't know. I just want to ask you that question. What kind of things would you share with that person?
Well, I would say it is pretty counterintuitive. You have to do the things you don't want to do to feel better. And the tasting of those disgusting Oreos that I
Hmm.
referenced earlier was one way I did that last week. So last week I was having one of those down days, Brad, where I had an interaction with my partner that had hurt my feelings. I had an interaction with my child that had hurt my feelings, and I was not ready to have my drains removed, which was upsetting to me. And I had a pretty dark thought, and I was thinking back to some therapy stuff that I know as a clinician, but also I know as a client. And then I was talking to a friend, and he said to me, "When are you going to have some social interaction?" And I said, "I don't want any. Thank you very much." And he said, "Well, remember how sometimes we have to choose to do what we don't want to do so that we feel better."
Hmm.
And that's a
Mhm.
technique called behavior activation.
Mm.
And so I, at that point, said, "I hate it when you're right." And
Mhm.
and I went to my desk where I had been saving this tin of disgusting Oreo flavors that were all the Thanksgiving flavors. And I went on Facebook Live. And my friends commonly come to me for feedback on Oreos. And I had saved those to do it with my kids, but I was feeling like my kids weren't going to share it with me. And I was feeling sorry for myself and lonely and just sad down that tube. And I started saying, "Hi, friends, I'm doing this because I don't want to do this. And so I just need you to know I'm having a bad day and I'm going to do this anyway." And it ended up having like hundreds of people tune in, which I didn't even know hundreds of. What are they doing? They should be working on a random Tuesday. Like, get a job, okay? Uh, and tons of people just saying, "Oh my gosh, Valerie, that's disgusting. Why did you do that? But thank you for doing it. Thank you for saving me from trying creamed corn Oreos." And then, because I did that, a friend of mine saw that and she saw I was having a bad day. So she texted me. And then another friend saw it and texted me and said, "Hey, would you like to go to lunch?" And another friend texted me. So, because I didn't want anyone around me because I felt so alone, I had to go out and get the energy that I needed. And that's what I learned. I learned, and I'm continuing to learn, that I have a really hard time asking for love and even accepting it. I enjoy giving it
Hmm.
and being someone's hero.
Yeah.
Receiving love is really difficult for me, and yet I feel so deeply hurt when I'm not receiving it.
Sure.
And so that
That catch 22.
polarity, it is, and I feel like I'm not enough when I have to ask for it. Like, they should know I'm having a hard time,
Right.
Right.
you know,
Be
read
psychic.
my mind. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something to remember. And the
So
other
there's a
thing
bit
that
of, bit of a dance, bit of a dynamic here, kind of a dance in
Mhm.
yourself as well, right?
it is, it's a significant thing, and I need to learn and practice receiving it
Mhm.
instead of saying, "Oh, you don't really mean this, but thank you."
I'm fine.
Yeah, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm fine." No, if someone says, "Can I bring you dinner?" You say, "Yes, thank you so
Yes, please.
much."
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, just say yes.
Well, I
And
think
and they will be happy for doing it. They wouldn't have offered it if they didn't
Right.
want to.
Right. Mhm.
I think it's just helpful, practical advice to sometimes do what you're uncomfortable doing and just do it
Mhm.
anyhow, even if I don't feel like doing it. I think it's part of part of what we teach here, Deb and I do is just sometimes you just got to take action. Even if
Mhm.
you just got to get off your rear
Yep,
end and do something. That kind of
yep.
thing.
It'll
So
change the way you feel.
yeah, there you go. Well, some great advice here, some great insights here. And so, Deb, I'm going to let you wrap things up, and then I will close our conversation. But
Mhm.
I think you've got some things you want to add here to our conversation about what we've
Mhm.
had here with Mallory.
Well, this has been absolutely delightful, which is just so strange, right? We're having fun talking about cancer. Um, and but the thing that I get from all of this that you're doing such a great job at is making it something that everybody can talk about. We're removing the stigma. Sometimes that is with laughing, sometimes that is with tears, right? But we need to remove that stigma so that people know, hey, we can talk about this. Because if we can't talk about it with our friends, we might not be willing to talk about it with our doctors, and all of those things. And so I love that you're helping to make it just something that, happens and we need to talk about it and move on.
Well, I want to say a big thank you for sharing that, Deb. That's awesome there. But I just want to say a big thank you to you as well, Mallory. And I think what your message you're sharing here of coming out of surgery that it's not over with yet. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have good days. You're going to have you know some pain in the rear days and all kinds of stuff. But you got to keep going. That is awesome stuff there. And so people need to learn from you. And I've been on your website. There's lots of cool things there. But somewhere down the road, you're going to be getting back involved and engaged with things after your recovery period. So how can people learn more about you, about what you're going to be up to? And I got a feeling there's going to be some more stories to tell down the road here. But tell us how people can get in connection with you.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. You can reach me by going to my website, of course, MalloriDeSalle.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, Mallory DeSalle on LinkedIn and on Facebook as well. You can join Deb and I and be friends. Uh, and you can connect with me there or even email me. Again, it's MalloryDeSalle@gmail.com. And it's Mallory with an I. I know it's an unusual spelling. My parents told me they found it on a mattress truck, which was another TMI from my mother.
Oh dear.
Wait, we got
We'll
another.
come by this genetically.
I
We
think
can
we got
tell.
another hour with your mother. We need to get your mother on this podcast too. Sounds
Yeah.
like there you go. Well, a pleasure to have you with us. And I'll just say that it's her website, MalloryDeSalle.com. That's MalloryDeSalle.com. Pleasure of having you with us. And so our conversation today is really about how kind of couched in terms that both Deb and I and Mallory are all in the Cancer Coping Club in the sense of we now didn't really want to be in this club, but we're here and we're going to make the best of it. And we're going to do things to be helpful to others who are part of this club in the sensibility that we can, it's not all bad and doom and gloom. There's some points of joy in this experience. And we're glad that you're a part of our life, Mallory. And we thank you for being our guest here today on Cancer and Comedy.